Okay, there you go. So as what I've told you, no, during our orientation that on our first module, excuse me, on our first module, we will be discussing the consumption sectors. And or the first sector that we will be dealing is the sector of agriculture and forestry. Now, let me present to you our learning objectives first. We have here at the end of the lesson, the student shall be able to first is to describe the reciprocal relationship between agriculture and climate change. So we will be dealing on how does agriculture can affect or can induce climate change, and in return, how does climate change can affect our sector of agriculture. So yun. Next is to explain the effects of human exploitation on forest resources. So how does human activities can cause exploitation to our forest resources. Here, just one moment, guys. Mm, okay, and there you go. So let's start. So before we proceed to the formal discussion, let us first answer the big question we have here. Can you see the illustration, guys? Hello, can you hear me? Ay, nakamute, no? Yes, sir. All right. Thank you so much. Hmm, teka muna. Okay, you can unmute yourself, guys, in case that you want to speak. Anyways, I'm just checking the settings kasi wala na ko na allow. All right, let's start. So, based on the illustration below, what do you think is the relationship of agriculture and climate change? Let's start with agriculture first to climate change. How does agriculture can induce climate change? Anyone? Yes, I want to have. I mean, I want to. Any volunteer? Wala. So let me call on someone. Let me check if you are really present in our discussion. Let's have Mary Ann. Hello, Mary Ann. Are you there? Hello, Mary Ann. Na si Mary Ann wala. Okay. Wala si Mary Ann. Okay, let's get back to Mary Ann later on, ha. Let's have first Zuren. Zuren, are you there?
Sir, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. Now, yeah, the question is, how can agriculture induce climate change, guys? Paano ba um maka pa-strengthen or makapa what do you call by that in other term? Kumbaga paano makapadungag o climate change agriculture? What are its processes, guys, that can induce climate change? Yes, Zuren.
Para sa akin, sir, makatabang ang agriculture sa climate change to prevent some uh, different disasters na atong makuha, especially sa mga flood or other mga disasters na ato ang makuan diri sa tuang sir.
Okay, kumbaga maka-prevent ang maka-prevent ang agriculture of flood. All right, thank you for that. Basically because we're planting plants, is that what your point is, right?
Yes sir, ano kong
Okay,
point sir.
I got it correctly. So, well, yeah, you have your point. No, that's correct as well. At some point, agriculture can um prevent flood in a sense that we are planting plants, no, but we will be dealing on that later on. Okay. Um. Yes. Any other hands? I want to hear other voice.
Ako po, sir.
Yes. Go ahead.
Climate change po can disrupt food availability, reduce
Mm-hmm.
access to food, and affect food quality. For example po, projected increases in temperatures, change in precipitation patterns, change in extreme weather events, and reductions in water availability may all result in reduced agricultural productivity po.
Yes, that's correct. Well, that's the case when that's the effect of climate change to our agricultural sector. So yun, the changes in precipitous patterns, the wind patterns, and even the change in temperature can affect the quality of crops and the quantity of crops yields in our agricultural sectors. Yeah, that's correct. That's true. How about agriculture to climate change, guys? Saba kay mga iro, no? How can agriculture can induce climate change? Paano man makapadungag og climate change or makapa or maka-effect, or how does agricultural processes can lead to climate change? That's the question. Yes, let's go back to Mary Ann. Where's Mary Ann? Wala si Mary Ann. I think she's not responding. So guys, again ha, I really want you, that's my pet peeve, guys. I really want you to be what do you call by that? I want you to be fully present in our class discussion. If you will just go inside the Zoom, no, or the meeting, and then you're not fully present, then what's the point? So not really a good thing. So kumbaga, don't bother to, do not, you know what I mean? Um do not spend that much data, no, if then you will not really kanang join the class fully present naman pala. So yun. Okay, here let's have any other voice or any other hands. Let's have April K. I want to hear your voice, guys. April K, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, in terms of ano, guys, in terms of ano, April K, in terms of agriculture, how does agriculture can induce climate change? Paano ba maka padungag pa or makapa worsen sa effect sa climate change ang agriculture?
Sorry po sir ha, bago lang ko nakasulod sir, pero para sa ko sir ko, maka dungag og ano ang agriculture sir kay especially kanang mga tanom gani sir.
Mhm.
Kay syempre ang ano ana like ang oxygen ana mga kuan or like for maka-worsen pa siya sir kay
So yun, kumbaga, na-consume sa tanong ang oxygen. That's your point, right?
ay sorry sir nawala ang signal sir.
Uh-huh.
Kay kung tayo sir kay kanang naman po uban gud nga mga tanom sir nga kanang ginagamitan gyud og chemical sir.
Okay.
Manang maka-apekto po siya sa ato ang climate.
Okay,
Okay,
well,
nga
the point is it's the usage of synthetic chemicals. Yes, that's correct as well, no? The chemicals, guys, can induce climate change. Yes, that's correct. So, well, at this point of time, we will be dealing the relationship of agriculture and climate change. How can agriculture induce climate change? And in return, how does climate change can affect our sector of agriculture? So let's deal with it one by one. So as you can see, guys, humans and can both benefit and exploit environmental resources. Now let's discuss deeply on how these fields of agriculture and forestry can affect environment due to human consumption. So agriculture, guys, by the definition, it refers to the practice of rearing domestic animals and crops. However, the methods that are related to this field have notable effects to the environment. Now let's go back to the history of agriculture, guys. How does agriculture started? Um, so before, guys, natural lifestyle of human is that they go to place or from one place to another in order to hunt food. So what they do is they hunt wild animals and then they store it for consumption, and then they also travel from one place to another. Okay, ang mga pataba sa lupa, no? And then ang mga nitrates maka-disrupt sa atong anyong tubig. Well, that's correct. Thank you for that. So yun, agriculture started, guys, katong time na nga nagsettle na ang mga tao. So, kumbaga, before, what they do is that they travel from one place to another to look for food. It's either mga to hunt wild animals or to um, get fruits, no, and vegetables along the way. So yun, ginatipo na nila and then they use that for consumption. And later on, what they do is that they already have learned how to tame wild animals and then they rear now that animals. So yun, ilahan na tong gikulong and then what they do, ginapadaghan nila for their consumption. And then, ang katong mga plants na discover nila nga, ay, pwede man dito makatanom ani out of stem and out of seeds. So yun, they already know how to cultivate land and to plant their own domestic plants for their consumption. So dito na nag-start. And because of agriculture, guys, it started the civilization. So mo jud na no, dako kayo nga importance, dako kayong importance sa agriculture. Dito na nag-start og settle ang mga tao nga dili na sila nagalakaw from one place to another. They tried or they tend to settle in one place because their consumption is already present in their area by having agriculture. So dito nag-start. And then after that one, dito na nagkabuo og mga barangay, nagkaroon ng mga village because people now are staying in one place. So yun. So that's the one of the major impact or revolution, no, of agriculture to the society. However, again, agriculture has its also notable negative effects to the environment as the time goes by, since we are having improvement or we're having modernization of agriculture. So now let's talk or let's deal with it one by one. Okay, now here's the main or the major process, no, on how agriculture can results to climate change. So how does agriculture can cause climate change? So we have here 2 points being illustrated on the diagram. So we have here the extensive farming slash and burn of trees, no, or we have the kaingin method. And the other one is the application of pesticides and fertilizer. So in kaingin method, guys, so what we do is we kill or we cut our trees, di ba? So cutting of trees, guys, has its already notable or detrimental effects to our environment. Now, aside from that, since we are burning the forest, it can produce or it would induce the production of carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. And as we all know, those compounds, guys, can disrupt our ozone layer. That would lead to global warming and, of course, would lead to climate change. All right. Now, we have here applications of pesticides and fertilizer. So it can affect the quality of air due to the production of compounds such as phosphorus, nitrate, and ammonia. And again, it would result to global warming and later on would lead to climate change. Questions, clarifications about these two things? Naa pa ba? Hello, everyone. Are you still there?
Wala na po,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay,
Wala
there's
po,
none.
sir.
It's really understandable, no? It's easy to understand. Now, let's talk about the small, or I mean, some other details about how irresponsible farming can affect environment, or farming in general, or agriculture in general can affect our environment. Again, it's been pointed out that the overusage of pesticides and fertilizers can affect our, or the quality of air. Now, as part of the rule of nature, guys, we all know that whatever we put in our land, it does not disappear. Diba? It does not disappear. Everything must go somewhere, diba? As part of the rule of nature. So when we apply fertilizers and pesticides, guys, what will happen? The pesticides and fertilizer will mix to the water, and the water will seeps into the ground, and that would contaminate the water bodies. Some part of the fertilizers and pesticide will be consumed by plant. However, the excess fertilizers and pesticide will seep into the ground, contaminating the water bodies behind or below the ground. So yun. So when we were in high school, we are taught about the four subsystems of the earth, right? So what are the four subsystems of the earth? Based on your high school topics, guys, on your earth science. What are the four subsystems of the earth? Let's try to relate the our topic to other fields of sciences. So we have four subsystems of the earth in the earth science. Nato nga nga
Gas,
lesson. What are those?
soil, sir.
Gasphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere, sir.
All right, that's correct. We have the geosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, and biosphere. When you say geosphere, that is the land portion of the Earth. Atmosphere, of course, the external part of the Earth, including our air, right? We have also hydrosphere, which is dealing with the water bodies, both in marine and aquaculture or aquatic bodies. And the last one, we have the biosphere, which deals with the life system of the earth. So those four subsystem of the earth, guys, is not only limited to their scope. They are actually interacting with each other. The four subsystem of the earth is interacting with each other. They are connected to each other. So again, whatever we put in the land, guys, it would interact with other subsystem. So again, if we put too much fertilizer and too much pesticides, it would go to the atmosphere, and later on it would go to our water bodies, because again, those four subsystems of the earth are interacting with each other. So it would contaminate the water, and later on it would be consumed by the life or with aquatic animals, and even us human would consume those pesticides and fertilizers. So yun, nag-interact tayo with each other. And that um, synthetic chemicals could vastly affect our environment. So yun, the use of fertilizers, manure, and other organic wastes containing heavy metals such as arsenic, cadmium, and mercury can lead also to an accumulation of these heavy metals in the soil. That's why we need to rest the soil, guys, in agriculture. There are seasons from which we need to rest the soil so that the soil can still have its properties to yield crops. Because if the soil will get too much acidic or too much basic, the soil can no longer serve its purpose, no? Or we need to supply different chemicals sa soil na pod para maka-yield siya og crops. Munang naay mga soil nga dili na siya suitable for planting because of this. So we can have soil pollution as well. So yun, when these substances wash into waterways or leach into the ground or musip siya dito sa ilalom sa ground, so it could be absorbed by plants and eventually consumed by animals and humans, affecting their health or even causing premature deaths. Heavy metals can cause crop failure and poison livestock and from contaminated water or food. So those are the effect of heavy chemicals found in the pesticides and um, fertilizers. So yun. Next is contaminated water. This happens due to the disposal of industrial and agricultural waste in the local bodies of water. So it's not only pesticides no can contaminate water, even the manure of our livestock can contaminate water bodies. Kanang mga hugaw sa ato ang mga babuyan, kanang mga hugaw sa ato ang mga itik, o di ba? Sa atong mga manok or any other livestock guys that would go to water bodies. And again, it would contaminate the water affecting our aquatic animals. So yun. Now, we have soil erosion and sedimentation. Now, how does farming can cause soil erosion and sedimentation? Sir, we are planting plants naman in agriculture. How can agriculture can cause erosion and sedimentation? Anyone? Nato yung nag-answer ganina nga, plants daw can prevent flood since we are planting plants. However, guys, in the real sense, agriculture can even cause flooding. Now, how does that happen? How does that happen nga maka-cause pa siya og flooding since we are planting plants naman? Anyone? Any idea? You can speak in vernacular, ha? I just want to hear your points, guys. Don't be intimidated with me, ha? I just really want to hear your points. I want to hear from Hananaya. Did I pronounce your name correctly? Hananaya pala, Hananaya?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes, Hananaya. How
For me,
can
sir, kanang
agriculture?
kuan siya. Kanang ang agriculture makakos siya og flood kay some of kanang mga farmers kay ganang murag ginaguba man gyapon nila ang kanang ano sa kanang time magtanom kanang sa basakan ngana murag ginakalot gyapon nila ang mga yuta gud ngana, sir.
Okay, kumbaga
Sa ako
ginakalot ang
lang.
yuta, mga cause of flooding. Well, thank you for that. I love the point. Let's have Desiree. Gusto na dyan ko makadungog sa inyong tingog, guys. Let's have Desiree. Hello, Desiree. Are you there? Okay. Wala si Desiree. Let's have Angelica.
Yes, sir. Answer. I think, sir, is kanang samtang na ay nagatanom naman po yung pa na ginaputol nila ang mga puno kanang mga gana eh.
Okay, kumbaga
Samtang
ginakat na to
nagatanom
ang
naman.
trees, no? Well, that's correct. That's correct, no? Tanan nga yung gi-mention, that's correct. Number one, guys, is through powdering of soil, di ba? So what we do once we plant domestic plants or crops, what we do is that we cultivate the land so that there would be a circulation of oxygen sa land, right? So what we do kay ginabungkal na to, ginadukduk na to, ginapowder na to ang soil. Now, what will happen? The soil now, guys, can be eroded. Tungod kay gi-powder na to siya, gidukduk na to siya. And aside from that, we cut the trees in order to make place for our agricultural crops. So putlo na to itong mga kahoy, hawanan na to siya, and then that's the time that we plant, right? Kay matabunan man nga to ang mga plants, dili man ta katanom og tarong kung di na to pamutlon ang mga kahoy sa palibot if dili na to hawanan ang lugar. So what will happen now? The trees, guys, having its massive roots no that can hold soil will be cut. So maputol sila. And then after that one, lang murag nag 10 minutes na daw ang atuang lang haman moment. Ang atuang if mawala ta sa Zoom, guys, I'll be sending you another link, ha. Lang. Just one moment. Okay. So yun, the soil, guys, will be eroded and it would be deposited in a particular area. And because of that, it can cause flooding since mugamay man ang ato ang mga sapa, no? And aside from that, it prevents the natural movement of water. So sa may tabo magbaha. And as well, kanang ato ang mga roots sa ato ang agricultural crops, guys, gagmay ilang roots, dili sila ka sip gyud og massive amount of water. It's only the trees, di ba? So yun, ang tungod ana, it can cause flooding as well. But the main good is that because of soil erosion. The soil erosion, mapile up tong mga eroded soil sa ato ang water bodies, and later on, it would hinder the natural movement of water and it would cause flooding. So yun. Okay, now we have our livestock, no? As livestock is grown and cramped in conditions where it is fed with unnatural diets and later on would be sent in the slaughterhouse on a regular basis, as a result, they add to the process of agricultural pollution by the way of emission. So the morning ginapaglaban sa mga sa mga vegetarian, because the raising or the grazing of livestock, guys, can cause a lot of methane or carbonic emissions. Ang ilang mga manure, ang even pag-feed sa ilang mga natural diet, it would cause or it would result to the production of methane. And methane, guys, is a hazardous chemical that can disrupt our ozone layer. So yun. And aside from that, the stress and the carcinogenic properties na of the or chemicals nga gina-fed sa ato ang livestock can also be a health hazard to humanity. So yun, sa livestock. We also have pests and weeds. So kanang how does kanang agriculture can create or can produce much hazardous pests and weeds, guys, or can disrupt environment by having pests and weeds. So yun, in order to increase our crops and yields, what we do is that we get the genetic sequence of our crops and then we modify it so that we can improve the qualities of our crops. For example, if ang palay sa una gina-harvest lang twice a year, because of genetically modified organisms or because of modifying its genetic composition, ma-harvest na nato siya og 4 times a year. Let's just say it for an example. We have coconut. Ang coconut kay tag-a siya, no? Long time siya bago na to ma-harvest iyang crops, pero because of hybridization and genetic modification, mugbo pa gani ang lubi, makabunga na siya katong mga hybrid nga lubi. So yan, we have mais, di ba? Mas makadaghan siya kernel, mas mudagko iyang kernel. So in order to improve crops, we modify organisms so that the organism can withstand with extreme environment. So kaya siya mo withstand sa mga pests, kaya siya mo withstand sa extreme temperature, sa extreme precipitation. So mo to ato siyang gina-modify. Now, what's its negative effect to the environment? Tungod sa pag-modify nato, it would encourage new diseases and new pests. So mo to, tungod para kay syempre ang mga pests mo adapt man po na siya sa ilang ginakaon para makaon nila tong kuan. So the crops, guys, or the plants has its natural way in fighting our pest. However, we modify it so mas extreme pag yun iyang ways no on how to fight pests. Now, the pest in return will adapt so that makaon niya tong plant. Now, in return, those natural plants, guys, which are not modified, katong mga native plants, will be subjected to the pest. So mamatay to sila kaya nga naman wala dili nila kaya katong mga nag-adapt na mga pest. And aside from that, katong mga weeds nga na-modify, the environment is really suitable for them. Kaya man nilang withstand with extreme temperatures and extreme water content. So bahalag magbaha, mabuhi sila. Now, pag mudaghan na silang taman, they would also disrupt the environment. Kaya nga naman, the other native plants cannot fight them in terms of competition. They are not capable for fighting those weeds and adopted pests. So yun, that can also negatively affect our ecosystem. Question, clarifications? Wala na?
Wala na po, sir.
Okay, let's proceed to the excess nutrients. Now, if we put excess nutrients to our plants, again, it would go to water bodies. And then it would lead to eutrophication. Eutrophication, guys, can deplete water-dissolved oxygen and in consequence can kill fish and other aquatic animals. So what will happen? We have our algae, no? The algae now will consume the nutrients. And once there is an excess of nutrients, it would be favorable to algae. Kaya mo may ilang gina-consume. So what will happen? They will consume the nutrients and mudaghan sila sa environment because, again, the conditions in the environment is favorable for them. Pag mudaghan na sila, it would be good, no? So that it can produce oxygen to the aquatic animals. However, simple organisms, guys, since they have simple organ system, they also have short lifespan. Sa pagmudaghan to mga algae, mga matay ra po to mga algae within the pond or the lake. Now, what will happen? It would cause eutrophication. The decaying microorganisms, katong mga nangamatay na mo decay mo jud to, because of the decomposition process, it would deplete the water-dissolved oxygen. And mudaghan na sila dito and then mga matay na itong mga algae and later on, it can kill fishes and other aquatic life in the pond or in the lake. So yun, because of algal bloom and it would cause eutrophication. Questions, clarifications about our topic? Questions?
sir.
There's none? Yes po.
Katong sa algae, sir, ba? Yun sa man, nganong mamatay man tong mga, ano, sir, mga aquatic animals, sir, pag daganag nangamatay nga algae po.
Okay.
Di
Now,
wala lang kayo ka-get, sir.
all right, thank you so much for that, no? That's correct. That's good. Now, for example, mudaghan ng algae sa pond and then mga matay sila dito. Asa man daay mo adto ang ilahang decaying matter. So mo dito ra gihapon sa pond. Now, the decaying matter, guys, will pollute or will contaminate the water. It will contaminate the water. And again, guys, during decomposition, pag-release na sila og mga gases, no? Mag-release sila og gases. And later on, katong mga gases would contaminate the water and it would kill our aquatic animals. Sorry for that. So yun, mo to siya ang reason nga nung mamatay ang aquatic animals pag mag-decay pod ang mga algae. So mo na siya. Okay, even ang mga manure sa kanang mga manure sa ato ang livestocks, maka-produce po na siya og methane, no? So even kanang mga bacteria nga naa sa ato ang mga ilok, for example kana, mudaghan ng mga bacteria and later on mamatay na siya and that would cause odor sa ato ang ilok. And that's what happened also as well in the pond, no? Especially even daghan na kayo og algae. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Murag mag-end na atong Zoom, guys, no? We'll get back, no? I'll be sending you another link if mag-end ang ato ang Zoom. All right. Well, if there's none, thank you so much. Now, in return, guys, what will happen? Because of climate change, our crops and yields as well will be affected because the changes or the climate change, guys, I just want to highlight this. Climate change can cause changes in temperature, precipitation, and wind pattern. And in return, those changes, guys, can affect our crops